One of the most profound things I've learned in my life is that it's actually not about my hair at all. I've spent a lifetime trying to cover up who I am. And as much as I love a good external transformation, and I do, I much more love a heart transformation. Join me as I share how I work to heal my heart, find happiness, and embrace our hair. Hey guys, welcome back to It's Not About Your Hair, where we talk all things hair, heart, and happiness. I don't know what episode we're on, but I'm glad that you're here. Today, I already filmed this episode and then it didn't film, so I have to start over. And today I'm going to talk about making emotional, spiritual, or financial deposits so you can make a withdrawal. And I want to start with a quick story. I just bought a moped, you guys. I've been dreaming my whole life about driving a motorcycle, but just couldn't. And there was a season of my life where it didn't make sense. When I had small kids, we couldn't A, afford another vehicle, and B, I just didn't feel like riding a motorcycle was, when am I ever going to ride it when I had 3 kids and needed a babysitter to leave the house? It just didn't make sense, but I've always thought about it and just wouldn't do it. And then a girlfriend at church was selling her moped, and I'm like, I'm going to do it. And the old me would have hem and hawed and overthought that decision a million times. There's different personality styles. Some of you are buying things you don't need all of the dang time and spending money you don't have. And then there's the other end of people who never buy anything. That's my husband, because he doesn't think that he doesn't have and he can't do, and it just kills them. And then there's people like me that live somewhere in the middle, but I feel like anything that I make a decision over $50, I have to obsess about it and overthink it and get worried about it. But I just went for it. And here is why. A few years ago, 100 years ago, we started the Dave Ramsey thing. And Dave Ramsey, if you don't know, he's a financial guy that talks about getting debt free. So for us and our family, we got to the spot where we only have our house payment. We paid off all of our other debts. And I do use a credit card for work because I need to order things, but I pay it off every month, so I don't pay interest on it. And after we did that, we really worked on the different bank accounts that Dave Ramsey says you should have. So you need to have different buckets of money, emergency fund, and then a different fund that has more. And anyways, there's all these different things. Dave Ramsey, if you want to check it out. But a few years ago, I read a book called Profit First, and he talks about 7 different bank accounts, and even more than that. You can have as many as you want. But for someone who always lived in fear of money, it's really helped me to be able to really look and tell my money where to go so that I own my money and my money doesn't own me. And most people do not have that understanding of money. I feel like even to some degree, I still struggle with it. And it's a little bit harder because my husband and I don't get set paychecks. We're not W-2 employees. So we don't get a paycheck and know what our income is going to be every 2 weeks and you deposit in the bank. But we have a roundabout idea. And anyways, when that money comes in, I put money into each of these different pockets of money. And one of the things I started about 4 years ago was the rainy day account. And what made me start that was that when my kids were little, I talked about this a lot. The bank used to offer a Christmas savings account where you would put a percentage of your paycheck into there to pay for Christmas, because there was a season of our life where I did not have an extra $500 to $1,000 or whatever you spend at Christmas time, depending on how many people you have, to buy Christmas presents. And so what we would do is we would put everything on a credit card, overspend what we couldn't afford, and then, of course, you're paying 25% interest on that if you don't pay it off. Well, I didn't know that at the time, and we just bought more than we could afford because we felt bad for our kids and everybody else. And it really was ridiculous. So I started then the idea of saving for something and then really working to spend only within that budget, which was very hard. And so today, fast forward, I've created 5% of any of my income that comes in, I put into 2 different savings accounts. I divide it, but one of them is rainy day. And rainy day was intended for just that. Hey, we want to go to the movies, or let's go on that trip, or let's buy that moped. It wasn't intended for a moped, but putting this money in there so that when things come in, it's not an emergency. It's just something fun you want to do, being able to take that money and do that thing. Well, something funny about me is that I never want to take the money out of these accounts, even though I create them. Then there's a fear around taking the money out. I don't know if any of you have that. And it's not even taking money out that is putting our family at risk. It's literally there to do that. I think it's been really, really helpful to me in my process as a growing adult. I'm 44, but sometimes I feel like I'm just figuring it out. Is that I have to learn that I am in control, that I do have power, and that I don't have to say I can't do something. If there's something I want to do, I can set a goal. We talked about this in the last episode and work towards that goal. And there's really some super, super satisfaction in delayed gratification, you guys. So setting a goal, setting an intention, and then working towards that. So if you currently do not have a savings account that allows you to just put money in there, and this isn't, we're not all going to be at the same spot. So when I was 24, the amount of 5% and the amount of 5% at 44, they're different, you guys. And most Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. So we always think that we're going to do this when we have more money. I've really encouraged my kids that starting at 18, if you can invest $5 a week into your savings account, you're going to you're going to be so much better off than if you think you're going to wait till you're 40 and you're going to put triple that, because you won't, because unless we're super intentional, every time we have more money, we spend more money. So what's fun about the multiple different bank accounts, you guys, is I feel like I'm spending it because I get to take portions of my paycheck and put it into all these little areas. But I wanted to talk about making withdrawals today in your life. So the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, which I've talked about before, talks about even emotional deposits. So in our life with people, it's really important too that we make emotional deposits. So we can't always take withdrawals from people. You can't be a sucker where you just suck things out of people. You have to give to people too, so that when you need something, whether that's a hug, to borrow money, you need to sleep on their couch, you have made some deposits, so when you show up, you can make a withdrawal. And it's the same with our finances, and it's the same in our businesses and with our kids. We can't always take. We have to be able to put something in. And that doesn't always happen really easy, right? There are seasons of life where maybe we're in a season where it feels like all we can do is take. And that's why we need to have seasons where we are putting in. And I really think that setting yourself up for success in this way will help you to cultivate a life of contentment. And also, this is the first year I feel like we are doing things without as much fear. And it's taken us a very long time. So the first half, Adam and I have been together on and off since 8th grade, but together had a baby at 19. And so really built our entire adulthood together. And for most of our adulthood, we were budding entrepreneurs or broke. And the truth is that those were both. We were entrepreneurs and broke. And we didn't have. And so we didn't take our first family vacation outside of my grandma's house until our oldest was in 9th grade, because I would say we couldn't afford it, or we couldn't take the time off of work because we were self-employed. And something shifted in me after reading that book. That was, what would it take if I wanted to have a life like this? And then making a plan to move towards that life. So if there's a life that you want to live, you can make the plan now, even if you have nothing, and you can set a goal and work towards that goal. And it almost is the same gratification as buying the thing you think you deserve that you can't afford, which happens the less we have, the more we're likely to do that. As it is knowing the plan. So if you didn't watch the vision boarding or listen to the vision boarding podcast, go back. I don't know where it's at, but find it and set yourself up, because you still feel like you're moving forward towards that. So instead of feeling like I'm going to buy that thing I want right now, I still feel a little bit in control of that when I make that deposit into that bank account every week, that I know I'm moving towards that goal. Or maybe I can't go on that family vacation right now, but it's in my hopes and dreams for my family. And so my decision making in my mind gears around, does that move me closer to that goal? But if you're just floundering through life deserving everything, You probably have debt up to your eyeballs, and I've been there. You probably have a car and a house and things that keep you in bondage. And it's very hard to walk away from that stuff and to take a step back and say, do I actually want any of this stuff, or is this stuff actually keeping me in this cycle? And you can step away and walk away from that. I know I started this episode with I bought a moped, and you can. But the deposits have to be there, you guys. And I think that they all live kind of simultaneously. So feeling the freedom to make those decisions. So this year, one of my goals and dreams was that I wanted to travel as an educator more, and it's happening. It's so awesome. It's so cool. So I'm a curly hair specialist. If you don't know that, if you happen to just find me here, I'm a curly hair specialist, and I want to teach curly hair all over the world. That is my goal. Anywhere that someone wants to learn about curly hair, I want to teach it. And I work with a company, Innocence Organic Beauty, and I also teach on my own. But I used to think I can't do that because I don't know how. So I made a plan, dreamed about that plan, and started moving the needle. This plan started happening about 10 years ago, you guys. And this year, it is growing because I had to plant the seed, and then I had to keep watering it and 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 watering it. And there were seasons it looked like it wasn't growing, and thinking about it and thinking about it and thinking about it. And now it's growing. And so my point in all this is this year, my goal in traveling is that every time I go somewhere, I want to run. I want my feet to hit the ground in a new area, which is really fun. And I want to see something I've never seen. And I want to not be afraid to do that. But all of that took visioning and planning on my part. I had to make deposits into my self-confidence. I had to make deposits into my bank account, and I had to grow in my confidence to be able to do those things so that when the opportunity comes, I just went to Boston last week, I can make a withdrawal. So I can make a withdrawal from my bank account to stay an extra day because that's part of the dreams I have for my life is to explore the places I'm at. I had the money because I had made the deposit, so now I can make a withdrawal. I used to be afraid to fly, but I've made enough deposits into my I'm not afraid to do this account that I can make that withdrawal. And I noticed that I have to do things, so I cross stitch or embroider when I'm flying because it keeps my hands busy. And when my hands are busy, my brain and my hands are doing the same thing. But I notice when I'm changing my thread, my hands still shake a little. It hit me this time. I'm still afraid, but I'm overriding it, making a withdrawal. Okay. In order to do that, I wanted to go on the Freedom Trail. We had to walk through Boston by yourself, 2.5 miles. And 4 years ago, you guys, when I was dreaming about wanting to travel, I didn't like to fly, and I was terrified of doing things alone because I didn't want to, I would just sit in my hotel. So if I did travel alone, I would sit in my hotel. One year for my birthday, we went to New York City for a hair show, and I ended up staying in my hotel because I panicked. And that's okay because you guys, that was still a deposit into my account. It was a step. But I want you guys to see, so then when I went out there, I had made enough deposits into my confidence account. I've done this before. I've gotten on a train by myself. I've walked in busy places by myself. I can do this. And if I get lost, well, I'm just an Uber click away from getting picked up. It's just okay. So there's enough deposits to make a withdrawal. And that's what we're talking about today is where are the areas of your life that you need to start dreaming? And this is also in the delayed gratification. We live in a world that everybody wants to make $1 million and they want to be rich right away, but they don't know what they're going to do if they are rich, you guys. And you don't know what you want to do if you could have whatever you wanted. What do you want? Start making some goddamn goals. Make some deposits into those goals so that when the time comes, you can make the withdrawal. But you do get to. We live in America. You can put as much credit card debt as you want, but you deserve better. And you deserve to not be in an emotional deficit all of the time. Fear and anxiety and all of these things come from not having enough deposits in yourself. So if you see me out on my moped, if you're local, you should wave at me. Say, withdrawal because I am a little bit afraid to drive it because I'm not confident in it. So I have to make some withdrawals. Got to put my helmet on and get out there. Got to be protected. So I hope this week this helped you to realize that in all of our life, we can just live it blindly and just go for it. But there really is just as much satisfaction in preparing for the thing you want as there is in doing the thing you want. In fact, they say that there's more. Planning the vacation is sometimes just as much fun, if not more, than going on the vacation. And so enjoy the experience of setting the goal, of working towards the goal. Enjoy the experience of watching the account get bigger, both financially and physically, spiritually, all those things. And then enjoy taking the withdrawal because it's something you worked hard for. And there's something about getting something that you worked hard for versus just getting something you deserve. There's a different body language and a different posture. So I hope today you get what you worked for. I hope that you start setting goals to get where you want to be. I hope that you know that if you're not where you want to be, you can get there. But you have to do the work. And you have to make the deposits before you can make the withdrawals. You're doing great. I hope if you loved this, you share it with somebody because, we're all out here trying to do our best. And remember to be kind, that you look great, and that I think you're pretty awesome. I guess this is where I ask you to subscribe to my channel, to follow me on social, and to listen wherever podcasts can be found. And join me every Tuesday at 2 as we unpack how to heal your hair, your heart, and your happiness.